Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. Today, we're kicking off with another one of Nathan Bell's commentary videos, and today, Nate wants to talk about nihilism.
Yes, well, I'm a nihilist because in my mind, nihilism is scientifically correct if you take an atheist perspective. So nihilism is not to say that life is meaningless or life is without value. Nihilism is to say that in the universe is just a collection of particles in a void, and none of those particles have any conscious awareness or any sense of reasoning, and those particles don't have a property of right or wrong. So the whole universe is just a collection of particles in a void, and those particles don't have any property that determines moral right and wrong. So the universe as a whole doesn't have any property of moral right and wrong. Moral right and wrong is reasoned by sentient beings who have the cognitive capacity to reason moral right and wrong and meaning. So moral right and wrong and meaning is subjective and is reasoned by beings, creatures, that have the cognitive capacity to reason right and wrong and meaning. But that is not to say that there is no meaning in the universe. Positive nihilism would say there is meaning in the universe, the meaning that sentient beings apply to life. So that is to say, the universe itself is just a collection of random events and particles that don't have any inherent moral compass or right and wrong or sense of meaning. But I, as a sentient being capable of reasoning meaning, I apply my own reasoned meaning to my life and to the life of others and to the universe. And that is the meaning that exists in the universe, is the meaning that I reason and my subjective personal meaning that I apply to life. So that is to say, I believe that nihilism is scientific fact from an atheist perspective, because in my mind, in order for there to be some property in the universe of moral right and wrong or meaning or purpose, there must be a creator who divines that there is a purpose. So in order for there to be a meaning or a purpose to the universe, or a moral compass of what is right and wrong, which is holistic and applies to the whole universe, the universe must have been created by a conscious creator who divines that meaning and purpose and that moral compass of right and wrong. And so if you're an atheist and you come from an atheist perspective, then you must be a nihilist, because you deny that there is any sentient creator being who applies moral right and wrong and meaning to the universe, and you accept that the universe is just a collection of random events and particles in a void that don't have any inherent moral compass or position on right and wrong or meaning. Now, we see with the double slit experiment that it appears that particles can make decisions, that they can be aware of when they're being observed, and this sort of implies that particles may be conscious. And then with this thinking from the double slit experiment, we can start to speculate that particles may be conscious and that the universe may be conscious, and then we can start to say in scientific terms that there may be some grander meaning or some grander sense of right and wrong if particles can make decisions and choices. And that comes from the double slit experiment, and that's relatively new, and that experiment single-handedly takes us into a new direction of considering whether the universe is conscious and whether there is some property of meaning which is holistic and applies to the whole universe. So nihilism sits with the standard atheist thinking on the nature of the universe and whether there is any inherent right or wrong or meaning in the universe. The double slit experiment starts to bring us towards thinking that the universe is a conscious entity and that there may be some holistic moral truth and holistic meaning which applies to every aspect of the universe. So we can start to think that way. Also, if you accept the hypothesis that the universe is a simulation, then there may be a creator who divines purpose and has determined that there is a purpose to the universe and that there is a moral compass of absolute right and absolute wrong. But really, I think that right and wrong is subjective, and that human beings and other sentient creatures capable of reasoning right and wrong define right and wrong for themselves. And it used to be the view that most animals don't have a sense of right or wrong, and that there isn't a sense of right and wrong in the natural world. And we're starting to see that there is a sense of right and wrong in the natural world. And we're starting to see that animals can make decisions based on empathy and compassion and justice. And we see, there was an example I read where a monkey's partner was dying. The monkey had a partner, and the monkey's partner was dying, and the monkey stayed with its dying partner until the dying partner died, and didn't eat and didn't fend for its own survival for the duration of the period that its partner was dying. Then was very sad and emotional when its partner died, and that shows that that monkey has a sense of justice and has a sense of right and wrong, and gets upset and has empathy. And now we're starting to see that trees and plants also communicate with each other, and that we can start to reason that perhaps even trees and plants have an ingrained sense of moral right and wrong, and of justice, and of meaning. So it's interesting. The old worldview is a nihilist worldview from science's perspective, that the universe is just random events and particles that are devoid of any inherent right or wrong. But now the research is starting to point us towards seeing that there is an inbuilt morality to the universe, and that there is an inbuilt compassion and empathy in nature. So it's all about understanding what are the principles of the natural world being the whole universe. So what are the principles of the natural world, and asking whether there is any inherent, built into the natural world, any inherent sense of morality or meaning. And the old view is that there wasn't, and that the universe is just random events with no order and no moral compass. But now with the research on plant life and on animal relationships, and also on particle physics, is starting to show us that there may be some inherent right or wrong moral compass or sense of meaning or meaning to the universe. But as a nihilist, I still accept the old view that the universe is just particles in a void, and that sentient beings capable of reasoning meaning and right and wrong apply meaning and moral right and wrong from a subjective individual perspective onto life. And that is positive nihilism, to say that there's no inherent meaning in the universe other than the meaning that we create in our subjective mind experience. So that's some things about nihilism. That's how I understand nihilism. So drop a comment in the comment section about what you think about nihilism.